Hello students, how are you? Good to see you again. Greetings of the day to all of you from my side. So today we are going to further discuss the chapter on unit operations and unit processes. This is lecture number 2. So in the last lecture we have covered the definition and fundamental concepts, types of changes in matter, physical change, chemical change, difference between physical change and chemical change. So today we are going to cover the following broad topics, that is related to the unit operations, that is introduction, definition of unit operation, importance of unit operations, examples of unit operations, application of unit operations, transport phenomena. So first of all, introduction. So industrial chemical processes usually have three interrelated elementary processes, that is transfer of reactants to the reaction zone. So this is largely a physical change. Next is chemical reactions in the reaction zone. It involves chemical changes. Separation of products from reaction zone, that is a physical change. Elementary physical treatment processes may involve homogeneous system or heterogeneous system. So in homogeneous system, materials are in the same phase, that may be in liquid or in a gaseous phase or in solids. So in heterogeneous system include two or more phases, that is gas liquid, gas solid, gas gas, liquid liquid or liquid solid, etc. So there are various variables affecting a physical change, that is potential, resistance, temperature, pressure, and composition. So various methods that can be used in the physical treatment processes are batch process, then semi-batch, continuous. And every industrial chemical process is based on physical treatment, that is a unit operations, or a chemical treatment, which is a unit process. So to produce economically a desired product from scientific for a specific raw materials. So this is about the introduction. Next we are going to discuss the definition of unit operations. So as we have discussed, the unit operation is largely a physical change. So if the change of state during a process is accompanied by physical changes only, then the process is called a unit operation. So it is based on the fundamental laws and physiochemical processes. So change in chemical composition during the unit operation is there. So you have to mind it again. So there is no change in chemical constitution, but there is a change in chemical composition during a unit operation. So this is a definition of unit operation. Next we are going to discuss the importance of unit operations. So unit operations gives us an idea about science related to specific physical operation, different equipments, their design, material of construction and operation, calculation of various physical parameters, mass flow, heat flow, mass balance, power and force, etc. So these unit operations are required for the purification of raw materials, that is the reactants. It is required reactants which are required for manufacture of particular product. Then it is used for physical separation of products obtained during various unit processes. It is applied for purification of products obtained in various unit operations. Next, it is further utilized to improve the physical properties of materials. So it includes reactants as well as products. So you can modify the existing reactants or products by using unit operations. So this is about the importance of unit operations. So here is now we are going to discuss the examples of unit operations. So these are some of the examples of the unit operations: heat flow, fluid flow, mixing, drying, absorption, evaporation, adsorption, distillation, condensation, crystallization, vaporization, leaching, extraction, sedimentation, filtration, size reduction. So these are the some of the examples of unit operations. Now we are going to discuss these unit operations, or you can say going to discuss this what these unit operations are in brief. So first of all, heat flow. Heat flow, it is defined as the transfer of energy from one region to another as a result of a temperature difference between them. So the driving force for the heat flow is the temperature difference. So heat transfer is an operation that occurs repeatedly in chemical and plastic processing industry. An understanding of the principles that govern heat transfer is essential to an understanding of chemical and plastic processing. So this is also regarded as one of the transport phenomena. So we are going to discuss this heat flow or heat transfer in a bit detail in the end of this video lecture also. Next is the fluid flow. So fluids such as what is fluid? Fluid is a joint name given for the gases and liquids. So fluids such as gases and liquids in motion are called fluid flow. It involves the motion of a fluid subjected to unbalanced forces. This motion continues as long as unbalanced forces are applied. The understanding of fluid flow is important in treating problems on movement of fluids through pipes, pumps and all kinds of process equipments. So this fluid flow is also important. So we are going to have a separate chapter in this subject on fluid flow or in the fluid mechanics immediately after this material and energy balance. Next is the mixing. Mixing is a unit operation that involves manipulation of heterogeneous physical system which is intent to make it more homogeneous. So basic idea of mixing is to attain to increase the extent of homogeneity. So mixing is performed to allow heat or mass transfer to occur between one or more streams or the components or phases. Next is the drying. So drying is a unit operation consisting of removal of water or another solvent by evaporation from a solid, semi-solid or liquid. So this process is often used as a final production step before selling or packaging products. So in the chemical industry it is used like this. So while in plastic processing, drying is a unit operation which is carried out prior to the final processing. So just to maintain the desired moisture level in the plastic chips or the plastic granules. Next is the absorption. So absorption or gas absorption is a unit operation used in chemical industry to separate gases by washing or scrubbing a gas mixture with a suitable liquid. So absorbed substance is washed out by the solvent, which is often recovered in a subsequent stripping or desorption operation. So immediately after the absorption is a reverse phenomena that is called gas desorption or stripping, which is originally used to recover the solvent. Next is evaporation. Evaporation is a unit operation that separates a liquid from a solution of non-volatile solids by means of heat transfer or via vaporization or boiling. The purpose of evaporation is to concentrate a solution of a non-volatile solute, that is a solids or a solvent, or you can say the liquids, which is typically a water. Largely in the evaporation, in this unit operation we are separating or we are removing water. Next is the adsorption. Adsorption is used when a pure gas or a gas mixture is contacted with a solid surface. So some of the gas molecules are concentrated at the surface due to the gas solid attractive forces. So in this phenomena, so adsorption is basically a surface phenomena, while the absorption unit operation that we have just discussed is a bulk phenomena. Next is the distillation. So distillation is a process of separating the components of the substances from a liquid mixture by using selective boiling and condensation. Condensation, next is the unit operation is the condensation. So condensation is the change of physical state of matter from the gas phase into the liquid phase, and it is a reverse of vaporization. Next is the crystallization. It is a unit operation based on limited solubility of a compound in a solvent at a certain temperature or pressure. A change of these conditions, the conditions are of temperature and pressure. So change of these conditions to it changes the original, you can say, the compound or a mixture to a state where the solubility is lower and will lead to the formation of crystalline solid, or you can say it leads to the separation of solid phase from the solution. So next is the vaporization. So vaporization is a unit operation which involves the conversion of a substance from the liquid or a solid phase into the gaseous phase. If the conditions allow the formation of vapor bubbles within the liquid, the vaporization process is called boiling. So boiling is a, you can say, the special case of vaporization. Next is the leaching. Leaching is a process of solute becoming detached or extracted from a carrier substance by the way of solvent. So by making use of a solvent. So specific extraction methods depend on the solubility characteristics relative to the sorbent material, such as concentration, distribution, nature and size. Of course, this phenomena, this unit operation leaching, we will discuss during this chapter in a bit detail also. Next is the extraction. Extraction is a process in which one or more components are separated selectively from a liquid or a solid mixture, the feed, by means of a liquid immiscible solvent. So afterwards, in order to regenerate the solvent, another separation step is finally required. Next is the sedimentation. Sedimentation is a process of using gravity to remove the suspended solids from water or liquid. Sedimentation is an act of depositing the sediment. Next is the filtration. Filtration is a unit operation that separates the solid matter and the fluid from a mixture with a solid medium, or not a solid medium, that is a filter medium that has a complex structure through which only fluid can pass. Next is the size reduction. Size reduction is the operation which is carried out for reducing the size of the bigger particles into the smaller one of desired size and shape with the help of external forces. So size reduction unit operation is also widely used in the chemical industry. So this is basically used to increase the surface area or to increase the certain properties of the material. So you can say the reactivity is also improved with the increase in surface area. So next, this is about some of the examples of the unit operations. Now we are going to discuss the applications of unit operations. So here are some of the applications of the unit operation. First of all, we will discuss the manufacture of sugar. Here are some of the steps, or you can say the physical treatment steps, which are called unit operations, which are used in the manufacture of sugar. So first of all, there is a sugar cane crushing, then sugar extraction is there, then thickening of syrup, then evaporation of water, and then the sugar crystallization. Subsequent to it is filtration, then drying, then screening is there, and finally there is a packing, or you can say the packaging. So here these are the broad steps which are involved in the manufacture of sugar. Next is the salt manufacture. So this slide shows the what are the various steps involved in the manufacture of salt. So first of all, there is a brine transportation is there, then the evaporation, then crystallization, drying, screening, conveying, and packaging. So these are the steps. So all these are the, you can say, the physical treatment steps. So all these steps involve the physical changes only, and the operations are known as unit operations. So you can say these are the unit operations which are involved in the manufacture of salt. Next is the manufacture of pharmaceutical products. So first of all, there is a formulation of chemicals, mixing, and granulation. So minded, there is the first step is the formulation. So formulation is basically the mixing or the agitation. You are combining the different ingredients together, but it does not involve any chemical treatment right now, right? So chemical treatment or the chemical changes are not discussed here. So here we are discussing only simply we are mixing the different chemicals, right, or the different ingredients which are required for the manufacture of a particular pharmaceutical product. Next is the drying of granules, then the screening is there, and then pressing tablets in the tablet making section, then the packaging. So these all are the physical treatment steps which are involved in the manufacture of a pharmaceutical product. So this is about the various applications of unit operations. So now we are going to discuss the transport phenomena. So first of all, we will discuss what is transport phenomena. So any of the phenomena involving the movement of various entities such as momentum, mass, or energy through a medium by virtue of a non-uniform conditions existing within the medium is called a transport phenomena, right? So here are the examples of the various types of transport phenomena which is widely used in the chemical industry are momentum transfer, mass transfer, and heat transfer, right? First of all, we will discuss the momentum transfer. So momentum transfer is the amount of momentum transferred from one particle to another during particle collision or interaction. Momentum transfer is involved in all fluid flow unit operations, right? And so in the fluid mechanics, the momentum is transferred from a place where we have a lot of momentum, means high pressure, to a place where we have less, means low pressure. So the driving force for the momentum transfer is the pressure difference, or you can say the driving force for this fluid flow is the pressure difference. So here is a diagram which is showing that whenever the fluid flows under turbulent conditions over a surface, the flow is conveniently divided into three regions. So here is a diagram showing the three regions which occur whenever the fluid is flowing through a pipe, or whenever a fluid is coming in contact with some solid surface. The dark black colored line on this slide shows a solid surface. So the layer which is, you can say, the immediately adjacent to that solid surface, that is the dark black line, is a laminar sublayer. So in this layer, the movement is largely due to molecular diffusion. So as you move in a perpendicular direction, there is a buffer layer. So in this layer, the movement of molecules is you can say the fluid flow is due to the molecular diffusion as well as eddy diffusion. So both are of comparable nature in the buffer layer. So as you further move in the perpendicular direction to the solid surface, you come across with a turbulent layer. So in the turbulent layer, the flow is largely by the eddy diffusion. So at the surface means immediately adjacent to the solid surface, there is a laminar sublayer in which only motion at right angles to the surface is due to the molecular diffusion. So next is the buffer layer, in which the molecular diffusion and the eddy diffusion are comparable in magnitude, means both are more or less same. Sometimes we will call it as a, you can say, the transition layer also. So finally, over a greater part of fluid, the turbulent region in which the eddy motion is large as compared to the molecular diffusion. So you can say the flow is predominantly by the eddy molecular diffusion. So due to the eddy motion you are having in the turbulent layer. So next is the mass transfer. So mass transfer is the net movement of mass from one region or location, usually meaning a stream, phase, or a fraction, or a component, or another. So whenever there is a net movement of mass from one region, you can say the mass transfer is taking place. So mass transfer occurs in many unit operations, such as that we have just discussed, like absorption, evaporation, drying, precipitation, membrane filtration, distillation. So most of these unit operations we have just discussed. So next is the mass transfer taking place naturally from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So this is very important. What is the driving force for this mass transfer? So driving force for the mass transfer is the concentration difference, and the molecules always move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So next is the mass can be transferred either by molecular diffusion alone or by molecular diffusion combined with the eddy diffusion. So this type of diffusion we have just discussed in the momentum transfer. So effects of eddy diffusion are generally far greater than those of molecular diffusion. So eddy diffusion is very fast as compared to molecular diffusion. So the rate of mass transfer is very high in the eddy diffusion. So mean resistance to the transfer will lie in the region where only molecular diffusion is occurring. So you might come across with the different regions during a particular mass transfer phenomena or mass transfer operation. So if you want to increase the rate of mass transfer, so you just concentrate on the region where the molecular diffusion is occurring. So because the rate determining step is the slowest step, of course, so in order to increase the mass transfer, so you have to increase the molecular diffusion, right? So you just concentrate on the region where the molecular diffusion is occurring. Next is the mass transfer deals with the transfer of mass. So it is clear. So we are going to discuss an example of mass transfer. Take a glass of water and put one drop of red dye in it. Okay? So you are going to put a red dye in it. Then even if you don't stir the water, eventually the water is all the same pinkish color. And this, the study of the how the dye spreads out, is the mass transfer, right? So even without agitating, you are the dye molecules are going to move from a point where you have dropped a single molecule of dye, you can say. So single drop, not a molecule, single drop of dye. So a drop of dye consists of large number of molecules. So these molecules where the point where you have dropped the dye is having a higher concentration of dye, as compared to the points in the immediate vicinity of that point. So what will happen? The molecules will move from that region to a region where the dye molecules are in low concentration. So eventually a point is reached when there is a equality of concentration or chemical potential, so which leads to the halt of this diffusion process. So now here is the explanation that we have just discussed. The region where the red dye first dropped into the water is at high concentration and the water is at a low concentration, but as the dye spreads out, the concentration of the dye slowly increases until it is all at same low concentration everywhere. Once the concentration of the dye in the water is same everywhere, no more mass transfer take place. So it is the equality of the concentration which leads to the halt of mass transfer. That's true because the driving force for the mass transfer is the concentration difference. If you are having an equality of concentration at every point, no more mass transfer will take place. Next is the heat transfer. Heat transfer is a phenomena that convey heat from one location to another. So it deals with the transfer of heat. So heat is nothing but it is a form of energy. So it studies how energy moves around. So heat transfer occurs in many unit operations such as evaporation, condensation, boiling, etc. So heat transfer takes place naturally from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. So the driving force for this heat transfer is the temperature difference. So heat is always transferred from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. So here are the typical methods for the heat transfer. So it predominantly takes place through three methods like conduction, convection and radiation. So if you touch something hot, you get heat transfer via conduction, right? So the physical contact is required for the conduction mode of heat transfer to take place. Next is the convection. If you hold your hand above a burner on a stove, the hot air rising from the burner is moving heat via convection. So heat is carried by the air molecules, which moves as a result of, you can say, a density difference, right? So lesser is as the molecules are heated up, its density decreases and it leads to the rise in that particular air molecules. So it leads to the setting up of some sort of convection currents and you feel warmth. Next is the radiation. So stand in the sun. So now after some time you should move to the shade. So what you feel? You feel that the warmth that you feel from the sun is the heat transferred by radiation. So radiation, for a radiation mode of heat transfer, no physical contact is required, right? It is transferred through the medium, right? Some sort of medium. It is as a result of electromagnetic radiations. Next is the rate equation. So that is the rate of change for momentum, mass or heat transfer. That all these are the transport phenomena is mathematically expressed by following relation. So you should keep that relation always in mind, that rate is equal to the driving force divided by resistance, right? So rate is directly proportional to or rate is how the rate is calculated. First of all, rate is calculated by Q upon T. Q is the net change or the transfer of quantity, and T is the time, and D represents the driving force, and R represents the resistance. So the rate of transfer is directly proportional to the driving force, right? Higher the driving force, higher is the rate of transfer. So for example, if you want to increase the momentum transfer or fluid flow, you have to increase the pressure difference. If you are going to increase the mass transfer, you should bring about the increase in concentration difference. Similarly, for increasing the heat transfer, the one way is to increase the driving force, and driving force can be increased by increasing the temperature difference. Next is the rate is inversely proportional to the resistance. So you have to decrease the resistance. You have to calculate what are the different parameters which are going to affect that rate. So the parameters which affect or which hinders the transfer, you have to lower it down in order to increase the rate. So according to the rate equation, the rate at which the system approaches the equilibrium may be expressed as a combined effect of two factors. So first of all is the potential factor. It indicates the driving force necessary for a particular transport phenomena to occur. Next is the resistance factor. It indicates the capacity to hinder or oppose the speed for a given potential. So we have just discussed the rate equation. Rate is equal to the driving force by resistance. So always keep in mind, if you want to increase the rate, you have to increase the driving force or you have to decrease the resistance, right? So these are the topics that we have covered in the today's lecture. That is, we have covered the introduction to the unit operations, then we have covered the definition of unit operation, then we have also discussed the importance of unit operations in this lecture. Then we have discussed some of the examples, the important examples of unit operations which are widely used in the chemical process industry or in the plastic processing industry. Then we have discussed some of the applications, some of the examples, typical applications of the unit operations, like in the manufacture of sugar, manufacture of salt, and manufacture of pharmaceutical products. Then we have discussed the transport phenomena. So we have discussed the three transport phenomena which are quite important from chemical processing and plastic processing point of view. That is mass transfer, heat transfer, and you can say the momentum transfer. So these are the three transport phenomena that we have covered in the today's lecture. Now let's try some of the questions related to the topic that we have just covered in the today's video lecture. My first question is, which of the following represent a unit operation? So your choices are hydrogenation, alkylation, absorption, polymerization. So here are the four choices. So before selecting a particular choice, so you should put a question in your mind. So which of the following choices involve only physical changes? That is the key point, and which is not involving any type of chemical change. Not then based upon that, you should just screen out the choices and find the right answer. The first is the hydrogenation. So hydrogenation is a chemical change, so in which the hydrogen atom is introduced into an organic compound. So this is a chemical change. Next is alkylation. So in this alkyl group is introduced. Again, it is a chemical change, so it cannot be regarded as a unit operation. Next is the absorption. So absorption is basically a gas liquid mass transfer operation based upon the solubility of a gas in a particular solvent. So here is only here there is only a physical change, while in the D last choice polymerization, the large number of small molecules called monomers react together to produce a bigger molecule which is known as a polymer. So it is a chemical change. So the right answer is of course C, that is absorption. So absorption is the right answer. Next question, which of the following is an example of unit operation? Again the key is same. You should your choices are hydrolysis, distillation, nitration, oxidation. So you should screen out by putting a question in your mind. So which of these four involves only physical changes? No chemical reaction is involved, right? The hydrolysis is a chemical change, right, in which the water molecule is introduced. Next is the distillation. It is again a gas liquid mass transfer operation in which the second phase is generated out of first by application of heat, and it is based upon the differential boiling points of the two components. So the two phases which are generated by the application of heat, the gas phase contains more volatile component, means low boiling component, while the liquid phase contains gas phase contains high boiling component, I'm sorry, and the liquid phase contains the low boiling component, so which is having a low volatility. Next is the nitration. Nitration is a chemical change in which nitro group is introduced. Oxidation is involves the reaction with oxygen. It is a chemical change. So the right answer in this case is the distillation, B. So all other three involves chemical changes, right? Next is which of the following is the driving force for mass transfer unit operation? So we have discussed this in the mass transfer unit operation, mass transfer transport phenomena. Mass transfer, first of all, mass transfer is a class of unit operations. So large number of unit operations which are going to be classed in the category of mass transfer, like distillation, absorption, etc. So now what is the driving force? Here are the four choices: temperature difference, then pressure difference, then concentration difference, electric potential difference. So you have to screen out that in the temperature difference is the driving force for the heat transfer unit operation. Pressure difference is the driving force for the fluid flow unit operation, and the concentration difference is the driving force for the mass transfer unit operation, and electric potential is the driving force for this flow of current in the electric circuit. So your right choice is C, that is the concentration difference is the right answer. Next is, which of the following is the driving force for heat transfer unit operation? Right, so that we have just discussed in the transport phenomena, heat transfer phenomena we have discussed. So again, heat transfer unit operation is a class of unit operations. So various unit operations classed under this category is boiling, evaporation, right, condensation. So these are the phenomena which are classified under heat transfer unit operations. So your choices are temperature difference, pressure difference, concentration difference, electric potential difference. So all these four choices we have just evaluated, right? So the right answer for this is, of course, the first one, the temperature difference. So temperature difference is the right answer. So next question is, if you hold your hand 15 centimeter above the burning candle, your hand will get heat largely to which of the following modes of heat transfer? So we have discussed the three modes of heat transfer in the heat transfer transport phenomena topic, which is the last topic of this video lecture. So there are three modes of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. So in the conduction, so you need to have some physical contact. Of course, this is not a right answer for a present question. So the convection is probably the right answer. So because in this case it leads to the setting of convection currents, and you will get heat as a result of warm air reaching at your hand. Radiations is not the right answer, because predominantly although you might get some heat, but largely you get the heat as a result of convection, right? So last choice is none of above. So right choice in this case is the B, that is the convection. So you largely get heat due to the following. So the question is largely, heat is largely, not only heat. Although you get heat through radiation, but largely you get heat through convection only. So the right answer is the B, that is convection. So if you are having any doubts or questions, you can put your question on my WhatsApp number, or you can raise your query on my email also. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you to all of you.